Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the legendary Matt Locke. He is a legendary radio broadcaster on WBAP, the #1 rated AM station in all of North Texas. He's going to share his journey next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Cumulus Radio, and I begin my day listening to KLIF at 5 in the morning, and then I switch over to WBAP, and Matt Locke has become a real fixture in the last few months on WBAP. He hosts the 9 to 11 show. Matt, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Very cool. All right, well, I was very interested to hear your story because you started a podcast before podcasting was cool.
Yeah, it's a weird deal. I'm a salesman by trade, grew up on a dairy farm in Northeast Indiana. And, you know, I've always talked to people. I've always been, a good communicator, listener, interviewer, all that stuff. Was a high-level salesperson. And one day I was walking around my house in Fort Wayne, Indiana, literally just a Saturday, just moseying around. I swear to you, the good Lord said to me, go and speak. I swear, like I heard it in my head. So my buddy is a videographer, and I said, hey, how do I do this? What do I do? What equipment do I use? What audio platform can I use? Are there podcasting things out there? And so for 6 months, I YouTubed it and taught myself everything I knew about podcasting and started doing it.
And this is 2012. So
2012.
Like, if I think about it, like Joe Rogan, was he even on the scene?
No, the one I remember the most, Ben Shapiro, was just getting into podcasting in 2012. No. And so I was just out there in front, and I remember I told my wife, I said, look, I'm going to buy this equipment. Sweetwater Sound is in Fort Wayne, Indiana, so Sweetwater knew me very well. Mr. Locke, I was buying equipment. I had to have an RE20 because, Rush Limbaugh had an RE20. I didn't paint it gold, but I had to have an RE20. I had to have all this stuff. So I put this studio together in our house, and I started the Matt Locke Show. And I told my wife, I said, if I don't have 500 people listening in the first 6 months, I'm done, right? So in the first month, I had 1,000 people listening to that podcast.
No kidding.
And it just went like wildfire.
All right, in the early days, is it conservative talk?
Yeah, in the vein of Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah,
I'm a Rush baby. I grew up as a Rush Limbaugh fan. My very first car was a 1979 Chevy Camaro.
Love that.
And I loved the car so much, I didn't realize that only had an AM radio in it. And so I jump in that car for the first time. I start driving. I'm like, what is this concoction? It's got the big black buttons and the 8, 9, 10 dialed them. My dad's like, that's an AM radio. And I found News Talk 1190 WOWO.
Wow.
And I started listening to Rush Limbaugh. And I was hooked. I mean, I was hooked at, 16 years old. And I'm like, this guy is saying exactly what I believe.
Wow.
And I grew up in a very conservative family, farming family. We were hard workers. You were taking care of cattle. You were taking care of the hogs. You were out baling hay. You were doing that. And there were no days off. And so I'd listen to Rush, and I grew into a conservative podcast, and I was horrible.
Wow. Okay.
I was literally horrible.
All right, you mentioned WOWO.
Yeah.
And WOWO is a legendary station.
It's unbelievable. Legacy station. Fun story, and we were talking about this before the show. I was pedaling around the house. I had been doing the podcast for about 2 years, and I had started getting pretty good at it. I was really bad at the beginning, and I started to get good at it, and I got a phone call. And it was a Fort Wayne number, local number, so I answer it, and the guy's like, hey, I'm Ryan Recker from News Talk 1190 WOWO. And I hung up on him. I've got these buddies back home. They all know who they are. I've got these group of golfing buddies back home. And we would do that kind of stupid stuff, right? Prank, call, make fun of, and I'm like, my buddies put somebody up to. They know I do a podcast. And it, at the time, it was still in its infancy. And I'm like, there's no way in the world that a 50,000 watt legacy radio station just called me. So I hung up on it. Wow. And 3 minutes later, my phone rang again. It was Ryan Reicher, the program director. He's now in St. Louis, by the way. KMOX, I think, is where he's at now. But he calls me. He says, I want to talk to you. We've got a deal going on here at WOWO, and I need your help. And so the drive time guy there, Pat Miller, was getting a kidney transplant. And they're like, we would like you to take over his show.
Wow.
And I literally looked at him, and you're going to laugh at this because the radio industry is really weird. I looked at him and I said, I'm not your guy. I only know how to do podcasts. I have no idea how to do terrestrial radio. And
Pat Miller is a big name.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I have no idea how to do this. I mean, I don't think I'm the best pick for you. You could just get some fill-in guy somewhere around the country who's been doing radio forever. They're like, no, we'll teach you. And they did.
Wow.
And that's how I got into terrestrial radio.
All right, how long did you do that?
A little over a year and a half. All said and done. Pat was out about 6 months, and then back and forth over another 6 to 12 months filling in. And then I ended up in South Bend, their sister station, 95.3 MNC, and filled in for Casey Hendrickson there, who'd come from Las Vegas. So I started filling in all over the place, and all of a sudden my phone started ringing. And so I filled in for The Answer. I filled in for some Fox stations in Wisconsin, Columbus.
Yes.
I got all over the radio, and it was a really funny story because one day my phone rang. And about a year before that, I'd met Glenn Beck. And it was so weird. I'm doing a show in WOWO, and I've got about a half an hour left in the third hour, and in walks Glenn Beck to the studio.
No kidding.
And I mean, I'm a huge Glenn Beck fan.
Sure.
Right? So I'm sitting there doing the radio show with Glenn Beck sitting in the studio while I'm trying to finish up this hour, and I'm like, oh gosh, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up, right? And so we get done, and I have a talk, and Beck looks at me, and he says, who are you? And I'm like, I'm just a farm boy from Flint, Indiana. I don't know anything. And so about a year and a half, 2 years later, I get a call from him. He says, hey, I got a job for you. Why don't you come to Dallas?
Wow.
And so I ended up on the Blaze.
And the fact that he remembered you to call you.
I was actually shocked he called me. It was an unknown number. I never pick up on numbers, but for some reason I did that day, and it was Glenn Beck.
Wow.
And we had exchanged phone numbers in that deal. And he offered me I did the conservative cartel for about a year and a half for the Blaze.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Blaze, so let's show a little video. So you were doing a show there for how long?
Oh, yeah, about a year and a half.
Year and a half. Mm-hmm. Very cool. And tell us about Blaze. What was that like?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, so, here I come once again, this farm boy from Flint, Indiana, who is a salesman by nature, talker by trade, who just fell rear end backwards into radio and television, right? And if you look at me, I got a face for radio. I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5", I'm 270, played baseball.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Everybody always laughs. My dad and my grandpa were baseball players and farmers.
Really?
So I never knew my dad without a hat. Never knew my grandpa without a hat. So from the time I've been able to walk, you wore a hat. Yes. It's what Dad did. It's what Grandpa did. And so I played baseball for a couple of years, minor league, and went to school, got my journalism degree and all of that, and then fell just backwards into radio.
Have you always gotten compliments on your voice? I mean,
yes.
When
I'm lucky.
They call that the voice of God.
My buddy down in Houston does the drive time show at KSEV, and he's like, I wish I had your voice. And I'm like, I don't have any other.
It's a great voice.
It never falls. It never fails. It's big. It's bold. It's easy to hear. And people are like, I love listening to you talk. I'm like, well, tell that to my wife.
All right, tell us about your show, because you have really increased the ratings since you took over a few months ago.
The show is just me. The funny thing is, once again, I'm a Rush baby, right? I loved Rush Limbaugh. He died 3 days before my father, which is really weird. Like, I was driving back, my dad fell violently ill, got cancer, and I was driving back to Indiana. It was the year, remember the big 21 snowstorm?
Yeah.
Well, we got the snowstorm, and my mom called me and said, hey, you better get back here. Dad's not doing well. He's probably not going to make it a few more days. And so DFW airport was shut down.
Yeah.
And so I had to drive back. And so I was driving back, and I had a conversation with the PD at 95.3, John Zimney, and we were talking about Rush Limbaugh because Rush had been off the air for a while. He was real sick at the end, and people were filling in and all that stuff. And, they had announced it when I was going back that Rush had died. And my dad and Rush died right about the same time, within a couple days of each other, which is really crazy. But the show is me. I mean, I'm a guy that, I go do a show of what I want to hear.
Yes.
Right? I'm a news talk radio junkie. I'm an information junkie. I've got a semi-photographic memory. Everything I read, I remember. Wow. And so I just read everything. I read everything, and then I do shows that I would want to listen to. And I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh. So it's in that vein.
Let's spend a little time talking about Rush. What did Rush bring to radio?
It was the personality, right? You love listening to him. Fuzzy little furball, you know, on loan from God, one hand tied behind his back. I mean, he was just so simplistic in a message to understand.
Yes.
Like the big thing with Cumulus, they're like, don't get into the weeds of politics. Because nobody likes the weeds, right? Nobody wants to know how the Senate works or the recesses or the parliamentarian or I know all that stuff, but you want to talk about what affects people, what affects me.
And he was a real pioneer of conservative talk.
All that stuff. And he did the funny, if you remember, he did the funny skits and Shaneland and all the stuff he did. And he was revolutionary in the fact that when he would talk, you'd be like, gosh, that's exactly what I'm thinking. He's reading my mind.
Yes.
And he did it so amazingly and with the information that he would take angles that no one else would think about. And I pride myself on doing just that.
Yes.
Putting together information from multiple angles that really affect people in their everyday life and making it relatable to them. That's the Matt Locke Show. And it's just me.
All right, let's talk about BAP because it's a blowtorch. You can hear it all over.
I had a guy call from Arkansas yesterday.
Really?
It gets WBAP in Arkansas. Think about that.
That's crazy.
You think how far that goes. And think about it before. I remember growing up in Indiana, and I remember being on WOWO, right? Legacy Station, Bob Underwood, Jay Sievers. I mean, names that I met Bob Chase, who did Comet Hockey for 65 years.
Yes.
And the guy looked at me and says, you have what it takes. I'm like, shut up, Bob. I mean, you run into these legends that talk on the radio, right? And so they would tell me, back in the day, AM was so powerful. You could get WOWO all over the country.
Yes.
All over the country, all over the world. It would bounce off the clouds and whatnot. I'm sure BAP is the same way. These AM stations just blow it out everywhere.
And at night, do they allow you guys to go to like 100,000?
Yeah, it goes up at night. That's the thing. Yeah. So it goes up at night. You could probably get WBAP. You could probably get it 10 states away.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
You were telling me you have 300,000 people listening to you.
Oh, yeah.
That's more than Channel 8. That's more than Channel 4. I mean, those are big numbers.
It's a good deal, right? I've been so fortunate and so lucky. And like I said, just an ordinary guy, living life, selling things, gets on the radio station. And I've been on 2 legacy radio stations in this country.
Wow.
Talking about life and family. And
how do you decide what to talk about? Because I was listening yesterday, you were talking a lot about Fauci. This morning you talked about the grocery stores in New York. I mean, how do you decide like what your audience cares about?
That's the hardest thing. I mean, it really is. If you think about all the stories that we see today in our digital age, right? I mean, there is so much to choose from. So again, the one thing is, what's the biggest hit, right? What's the biggest hit? What are people talking about? What's trending? Yes. What's out there? What's affecting people, right? Number one. Number 2 is, what am I interested in? You know, what interests me? I mean, I'm a news talk listener. Yeah. What would interest me? If I'm going to turn on the radio and listen to Rush Limbaugh, you know, Dan Bongino, Glenn Beck, Mark Levin, what do I want to hear? And so I'm very particular about those stories, but I like to cover stories too that a lot of people don't cover. And I like to give them that slant that says, hey, this is why you should be listening to this story and why you should be aware of it. And many times I'll beat the media to the punch several days in advance.
And tell us about the freedom you have. I mean, your program director's not telling you to talk about this or that. I mean, you just basically...
There are guidelines, right? There are rails, right? There are guardrails in radio. That's the terrestrial... I love the podcast world for the fact that I had no guardrails, right? I have a potty mouth, which is unfortunate. I cuss like a sailor off air. But you got FCC laws, right? I cannot drop an F-bomb or, I mean, I don't want BAP getting fines and stuff like that. So there are guardrails in terrestrial radio, right? You got to be careful and whatnot. And just BAP tell me what to cover now. You know, but they want the hits too, right? You need ratings. I mean, here's the thing, and people don't understand it. If you're not selling advertising on terrestrial radio, you don't have a radio show. Yeah. There's no microphone to talk into. So I can talk into the radio to nobody, or I can talk into the radio to a lot of people as long as we make it so that that gets the money coming in.
Can you tell when you touch a nerve and the phone line's blowing?
Oh, yeah. I did the Fauci thing yesterday, and I probably took 38 calls in 2 hours.
That's amazing.
Well, people are, you know, look, COVID was a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it affected us all in a lot of ways. My son was 18 years old when COVID came in to deal, you know, senior year of high school. He's floated around for 6 years. But people lost loved ones.
Yes.
They lost livelihoods. I mean, I got demonetized on Facebook and on YouTube because I was telling the truth about Wuhan and the virus, and I never wore a mask and those kind of things. And I was kind of that guy. And look, I'm a big, strong guy. I'm like, if this virus is going to kill me, it's going to kill me. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not doing that crap. And here we go.
Right.
But COVID touched people in so many ways with loved ones. Everybody has a story. And everybody called in yesterday going, here's my story. And that's what I think makes great radio.
Yeah.
It's not me. I'm playing traffic cop, right? Yeah. What's your story? What's your story? Well, thank you for sharing it. That's what good radio is.
Amen. You mentioned your family. Let's go ahead and show this picture. I want to give you a chance to brag about, this is your rock.
Yeah, so that's my daughter and the grandbabies and her husband. They moved down here a couple of years ago from Seattle, Washington. They got out of that Democratic nightmare. And they came and visited us. It's my wife there and myself. We're at the Fort Worth Zoo when they first came here. But they're like, Dad, can we come down? We hate living here. We want to come to Texas where there's opportunity. And they came. I said, come on. So they came down and lived with us, and they now live in Burleson, got a nice little home. And
I mean, do your kids think it's cool that Dad's on the radio?
They think I'm a celebrity. It's so dumb. It's the dumbest. I mean, I'm dad, right? I mean, being dad is the most amazing thing to me,
Sure.
right? I get to hang out with my kids. I get to see my grandbabies. You know, I get to be dad, but they think I'm some kind of celebrity, and I'm really not.
Wow. Okay, we have about 2 minutes left, so look into the camera on the left. Why don't you talk to that young broadcaster who wants to be you one day?
Oh, do it. I tell this to my son all the time. I mean, you got to have a dream. I had a dream, right? I had a dream to talk. And so I was a salesman while I did it. I had to make the money, had to take care of my family, had to do the right things. But 14 years later, I'm on a 50,000 watt radio station talking to hundreds of thousands of people a day. You're not dreaming big enough. Dream bigger, run after it, do what makes you get up in the morning.
Outstanding. Matt, thank you for sharing your heart with us. We're going to leave you with the page off of the WBAP website, the great Matt Locke. Thanks for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.